Welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how life is a dance. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that mind and body-connected movement is vital to healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I created Dance to Heal Wellness featuring the Spotlight Confidence Formula and also authored the best-selling award-winning book, Outside In Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new ways to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen, and we're doing it real and raw today. Why am I doing that? Because in this age of very polished AI production, I want to be really real and honest with you. There are days it's a struggle to do a weekly podcast, and I often talk about the outside-in approach, and I wanted to clarify it during this particular just me only. So if you really are willing to my guests, you can, swipe to the next podcast episode, but today is just me having a real talk with you. I was having a conversation with the editor, and he refers to these weekly episodes as check-ins, and I really love that. Thank you, Daniel. These are check-ins every week. This week's check-in is about your self-care, and mostly focused as I do my self-care for you, meaning I'm on the YouTube video, on the video version of this podcast episode, I'll be putting on my makeup. And if you're just listening to the audio, I'll talk about it, and if you have no interest in actually seeing it, stay on the audio only. Cool? I'm riffing today about this outside-in approach, and what do I mean by that? It's been a journey for me. It's been a real journey for me in learning what my version of the outside-in, because I'm getting a lot of content on my feed about people who are burnt out lifters, or they burn themselves out working out on their physique instead of giving themselves permission to take care of themselves and rest or recover at a different speed than what is being told to us by mainstream, whatever version of media you're consuming. I'm asking you to start really, wouldn't it be wonderful questions? Like, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could rest when I wanted to? Wouldn't it be wonderful if I could know when my body needed something before it's screaming for it? For example, by the time you feel thirst, you're already past the beginnings of your body needing hydration. That's one of the third tiers, right? So wouldn't it be great if you were so aware of your physical, outside your mental needs, your physical needs, that you could predict or start having a pattern where you were fulfilling it before you actually felt the physical need for it? Does that make sense? Because I know, I'm not supposed to say, does it make sense? But I really do want you to actually ask yourself, does this make sense? I have learned for myself in the last 6 months, 8 months, well, almost a year if I think about it, when I started doing hormone replacement therapy and coming back more into my body because hormonally I was more balanced. I realized that I don't have a sense of my organs. I don't really, until I'm hungry and angry. I don't feel hunger until my stomach is kind of like going, feed me, right? I don't feel the initial need to feed myself until it's a scream, until I'm hangry. And then I'm last minute trying to make food, right? So the last 10 months has been me working at a system where there's already pre-prepared food, or I am scheduling my day around when my next food meal is. So I'm doing a little bit of work and then breaking early enough to make myself food before I get hangry, or doing very specific, okay, so this is graduated to 40 ounces. It used to be, I think, 24 ounces. Sippy cups that I had to make, that I bought in colorful, happy colors to remind myself visually to be hydrating throughout the day versus waiting until the end of the day and then trying to catch up on hydration, right? And I do what is that? What's liquid IV? The sugar-free. Don't do the regular liquid IV because there's actually whey protein in there, because milk increases your ability to hydrate. That's why they give Pedialyte for babies who are dehydrated, because they're using the milk component to help the babies absorb in their gut. I am not doing any more whey post my cancer. That's my own decision, my own search as to what led to my breast cancer. There was no history of breast cancer in my family before. That's another episode altogether. However, my point is, I do supplements to help my gut absorb liquid. Okay, because I didn't know until recently when I had a client who works in functional medicine that when you've had chemotherapy, it actually affects your gut's ability to absorb water. So I'm thinking, I'm just going to keep drinking warm water now instead of cold water. And I still do not feel this decrease in the dryness of my lips because I live in a very dry climate, Utah. I couldn't understand. Didn't matter how much water I drank, I did not feel hydrated until I started adding in things like liquid IV or sugar, or both versions, sugar-free, Pedialyte or liquid IV, and I would feel better hydrated. On top of, I would then drink also additional cups of warm to hot water in the evening. Okay, so that's what I want to make sure that you understand where I'm coming from when I talk about self-care. Self-care from the point where if you're not sleeping well, you're giving yourself permission to start exploring, wouldn't it be great to have a great night's rest? What could it be that's preventing you from a good night's rest, right? In past episodes, I have disclosed that I have sleep apnea, and we didn't really know that I had even any indications of it until my husband's sleep apnea, because he was snoring a lot and not getting enough sleep, no matter how much sleep he got. Once we equipped him with a CPAP machine, he started noticing that I was lightly snoring occasionally. And then when we did the test, that was a mail-in online thing, we discovered I had pretty severe sleep apnea. And what that meant was that every hour once I fell asleep, I was getting about 30 or more episodes where I was not breathing. And there was correlated by a spike in my heart rate when I was sleeping up to like 80 to 90 beats per minute. That's pretty high if you think about most resting heart rates when you're sleeping. If you're very super healthy like my husband is, and it's not a cardiac condition, your heart rate can drop down as low as the 50s, 60s, right? If your heart rate is elevated in your sleep, and you can test this out by a simple O2 ring, which will also show you how much oxygen is in your blood, oxygenation is in your blood stream when you're sleeping, right? So your O2 level should be 95 and above. Mine were dropping below 80. Before COVID, most people would get hospitalized if your O2, which is that little thing that they would stick on your finger to measure your oxygen levels, you would normally get hospitalized, or they would prevent you from going home if you drop below 90, right? So I'm in my sleep, heart rate jumping up into the 90s, oxygen levels dropping below 80s, and almost no REM sleep recorded on the O2 ring, right? So I did not know. It never even occurred to me, oh, your sleep is really bad. And that's going to also affect my brain health, your brain health, okay? Now, granted, at that time, I was already in chemo-induced menopause, meaning they're now being much more forthright, and some of you listening to this podcast know that if we have decreased progesterone and estrogen levels, it's going to affect our quality of sleep too. Right? So after I acclimated, or I got used to the CPAP machine, my sleep pattern still went back to the old pattern of not sleeping. And then it wasn't until I increased magnesium, progesterone, when I put that back in my system, even estrogen, which decreased pain in my body, I was able to get more quality sleep. And again, your brain must have, this is not me saying you should or you would, it really needs quality sleep. We need quality sleep. Wouldn't it be great if you could have quality sleep? Okay? So there's hydration and sleep. And then the fact that, do you equate rest with being ill? Did you hear what I said? Do you equate rest with being ill? I do. I really struggle with that. That's something that I've had to really come to terms with in the last year. Because guess what? I rested when I was going through chemotherapy. That was my first big rest for most of my life. You could say, well, maybe you rested before you had the babies. I wasn't resting because I was pregnant with twins. So my body was very busy growing babies inside of me. I wasn't resting. And then when they were born, we went into a cycle of no sleep. And then my kids were homeschooled. So I didn't get much rest. And the few times I would go away on vacation, they were always through company trips that my husband had earned. I'm going to start doing this makeup stuff. I just realized I'm talking and getting so excited talking to you. I didn't do any of my makeup. So I've already done my moisturizer. But I did want to bring to your attention, as you age and we lose collagen in our face, I've been using the City Beauty lid lifting treatment. I was having this crepey, oh wait, hold on. I got to show you a little bit of magic. So if you're on the audio only, make sure you do come to the Zoom recording, because there's something that Zoom does now. I'm going to show this to you. You can touch up your appearance on Zoom. Okay, so I'm going to show you what, right now, the face you're seeing on Zoom is touched up. Okay, but I'm going to slowly dial it down so that the filter that's on comes down to low. You see the red patches that come up now? Then I'm going to completely turn it off. Okay? Yes. So this is me now versus before. I'll show you the before. So my audio only people, I'm turning back on the touch up appearance in the what is this? The video and effects part of Zoom, okay? And I turned it back on and it's on low, and I'm turning it all the way back up to high so that I can still look like I have a light layer of makeup on. But I'm turning it all off right now to show my video listeners the difference. But I want to tell you all also about the lid lifter. I noticed that the skin on top of my eyelids was getting a little crepey, okay? And the crepiness was actually, if you can believe it, I should record this separately for my social media. Yeah, I gotta give you all advice on how to multitask everything. There we go. Hit record. All right, so this lid lifting thing was amazing, okay? And it took away a lot of the crepiness, and then I'm very religious on this. This is one of the things I do not negotiate on. Okay, and I need to start getting affiliate links for everything that I suggest for y'all. So the City Beauty lid lifting treatment, I just a little blob, and I just tap it on top of my eyelids on top, and it's really made a difference. The crepiness has gone away a lot for me. And before I was doing that, because I inherited almost no double lid, it just hangs over. It was actually affecting my vision, because it was that kind of lowering the upper region of my visual field. Okay, so it started off as a little bit of a vein thing. I didn't want to look like droopy and old, and now I'm noticing it actually opened up my point of view up around top and edges. So that's the reason why I continue to do this particular cream. It's not cheap, okay? However, for me, it's been worth the money that we budget for this. And then, where's my little, there's another eye cream that I use. You don't need to use any particular ice cream. Please do use an ice cream. As we age, we will lose the natural softness and suppleness underneath the eye. So make sure you're doing that. But I did want to bring your attention to some really wonderful things that I've been using regarding self-care. So I've done all my lotions, but I just wanted to show you this my non-negotiable upper eyelid product that I use. But then once I've got all my lotions on, I do use a regular acne medication, because I noticed being on the HRT, I'm going to a third or fourth puberty. So anyways, but I do the Herbarian Korean Skincare CC Red Correct. All right, and this was a recommendation by Jenny Weenie. Okay, and so I was using just this at one point, and I noticed that I didn't feel it did enough coverage, because it comes out a little bit green. But what's wonderful about these color correcting things is that if I used it regularly, it would take out the reddishness of my skin, if that makes sense. Okay, and then what I would do ultimately over this layer would be I use their high definition radiance face cream. And this has the SPF of 25 also. I bought both colors, not just the clear, but the other one that's a little shade darker that I ended up giving to my daughter. But this one I love because you can do layers. And for today, I'll just do a light blob that you'll see me blend throughout my face, because there's a few other face coverage things that I do. But I always use sunblock. Please make sure you're doing creams for your eyes and some moisturizer for your skin, especially as we're aging. And it's going to depend on whether or not you have dry skin, combination or oily, and what part of the country or the world you live in. Make sure you're taking that into account, because that will affect, your actual reaction sometimes to these products that you're seeing people recommend. I'm just showing you kind of like my morning routine before I get on calls or step out of the door. I always put on the sunblock, because that's super important. And I noticed that as I've aged and as I'm reacting to some of the hormones, I need a little bit more evening of my actual skin tone. And I'm fine with that. Now, I have an age spot here that I always cover up because, especially with the sunblock, because there was a period when my babies, when I was a first-time mom with twins, I don't think I used sunblock. I think I don't remember washing my face in the mornings when they were babies at all. So I would take them to the park every day with no sunblock. I wouldn't wash my face, and I know this is sun damage. This upper, let's see, and in the Zoom or on the YouTube video, it's gonna look like it's on your left side, but it's really my right side, right underneath my outer eye. There's a spot that's been coming up that is from skin damage from when I didn't wear any sunblock. Probably started in my teens when I was volunteering at Camp Jabberwocky and extended it all the way through, especially when I first had my babies. All right, the next thing that I do is the area around your eye requires a little higher SPF. And sometimes we make the mistake, unless the formula is designed for your entire face, including your eyes, the area around your eyes actually requires different types of cover-up, if that makes sense. So dermatology, I use the Luminous Eye Corrector, which is SPF 41. It's higher to give a little bit more protection around the eye. Because remember, the skin is thinner there. Okay, now I'm not a cosmetologist. I'm not recommending any of this to you. But I want to show you that it's still important to do, and what a difference it helps me when I look in the mirror. Forget about you all. I need to feel like I look healthy in the mirror to remind myself I am healthy, if that makes sense. Okay, now we could start arguing about Western, Eastern, ageism and all that. But for me, there's a certain look that sometimes can trigger memories of me going through chemotherapy, me going through recovery after surgery, me when I was in the throes of taking care of family members and completely ignoring myself. And I would like to grieve over those times for me and also let them go, okay? So anyways, also I want my skin to last until I'm well into my hundreds, and I have to start now at level 57. I love Charlene Johnson. She talks about how age as levels. Okay, so I'm level 57, about to turn up level to level 58 in July. And you'll notice that I don't really put it on top of here because of the lid lifter, but I will do on top here because mostly I'm wearing my glasses, you see? Okay, or sunglasses. I always wear sunglasses when I'm out. Okay, and now, most of the time, I'll also do a little bit of a lip changing gloss. And I'm kind of done. So I've got my skin protection. And this is my regular walking around the house, going out for errands type of look, okay? And you can just stop here. Thanks for listening to the Dance to Heal podcast with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of inspiring triumph and learn more ways that you can heal yourself. To work with me and continue your journey, visit danceandheal.com. Are you ready to move?